There is a whole conservative movement masquerading as feminism because it claims to be empowering women, like Tradwives is empowering women to not work. It's an incorrect movement. It's pretending to empower women to keep them in their place. At any one point, only 52% of women consider themselves to be feminists anyway. Loads of women have always hated feminism. They've always hated the fact that they could be empowered. Loads of women don't want jobs. It will be almost impossible for women to have true equality because a lot of women don't want it.
No Bullshit Talks is a podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. There's too much bullshit out there, especially when it comes to business. This podcast aims to highlight what's true and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship, bringing you honest and raw conversations about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship. Each week, my guest will be a high-performing entrepreneur sharing the ups and downs of their journey and helping you prepare for the road ahead, while providing you with actionable insights and absolute gems of knowledge. Stay tuned as I introduce this week's guest. Amy Kean is a CEO of Good Shout, a company that helps women find their voice. She is also the founder of a movement called Unlikable Woman, where she helps women be proud of their big, bold selves. She has also done 2 TEDx talks on the fiction of gravitas and embracing weirdness, showing the world how she really believes in being who you truly are. I present to you this week's guest, Amy Kean.
Welcome, Amy, to No Bullshit Talk.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. God, it's been a long time coming, I feel like.
Like a year.
I know. It's like, I think every time you write a post, I'm like, oh my God, we need to talk about this on the podcast. And then we're like, yeah, and then we just don't.
But then there was one, I can't even remember what it was.
I think it was probably the International Women's Day bullshit. I don't know if it was that.
I don't think it
There's
was.
so much stuff. I don't know what it was. What have you been talking about recently?
We were both furious about something.
Yeah, it will come up in the
Yeah.
course of this. And I was like, right, we need to talk about this. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I do know what it is.
All
We'll
right,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Okay.
I think I do. I think it was the cliquey girls.
Oh
which
my
I'm gonna
God, yes it
That's
was.
what we can call them now. Instead of the cheeky girls,
Yeah.
the cliquey girls.
We are the cliquey girls.
Touch my bum.
This is life.
We've made a song for them. Okay, this is the weirdest podcast intro ever. But I think
I'm
Amy might
ready.
need to introduce herself, because for those of you who don't know, we need to introduce.
I'm Amy Kean. Said like that was like you should know. I'm Amy Kean and I'm not a cliquey girl. And I'm the CEO of Good Shout. And just a loudmouth in general, social psychologist in training actually, because I've gone back to do my master's at LSE. And yeah, I run a learning and development company. I also have a side quest movement called the Unlikable Woman
Which I love.
Summit.
Definitely Unlikable Woman.
Oh, you are. You have to be a speaker.
I'll have to come on. What would you
Yeah.
like to talk about? Do a little cliquey girls dance.
Well, that's the whole thing about Unlikable Women,
Yeah.
is that it's anti-clique.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, we have these summits where we have obviously a lineup of amazing speakers who've been called unlikable for some reason in their lives, but the audience are as much a part of the event as the speaker.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's so eclectic. We have all genders, we have all body shapes, all professions, all types of neurodiversity. We have pink hair, we have brown hair, we have kids there, we have men there.
Wow.
It's really cool, and it's the opposite of cliques.
I love it. Well, we're definitely going to cover that.
Yes.
I'm going to start first with Good Chat, because that is your day job, which I
Yeah.
also love about your LinkedIn bio. You're like, by day I do this, and you're like, by night I also do this, because
Yeah.
let's face it, I'm a business owner and I don't sleep. And I'm like, yep, that's about accurate, because that is some of the bullshit I call out, right? So
Yeah.
I loved that about it. But tell me more about Good Chat, because that's mainly what you do. Like you said, the other stuff is kind of side hustle-y, and that's your main kind of bread and butter. What is Good Chat, and how did that start?
It's really focused on voices. When you have an Essex accent, you think a lot about voices. And I've thought about voices ever since I went to university, when I realised that I had an accent, and my accent was different to a lot of other people's. And I worked in advertising for like 17 years. That's a really exclusionary industry, because only 15% of that industry didn't go to private school. And even though I was from Essex and considered common in a really exclusionary industry, for many years, I was also the only woman on a lineup at a conference. And one thing that I noticed over the years is that I was the only woman because I was actually often the only woman that would say yes. Because women often don't say yes to speaking at events. I mean, increasingly they do, but back then, you know, they did that less.
Yeah.
And so I originally created Good Shout just as a public speaking training business to get more women speaking at events in a really brilliant, imperfect way, keeping their accent, keeping their style, not trying to be someone, this fake idea of fake it till you make it confidence that doesn't actually exist. So Good Shout used to be focused on find your voice. And it's cheesy, but finding your voice I think still stands. And now it's blown up into this broader beast so that any way in which you use your voice in life and at work, we provide training in. So how to listen, how to demonstrate empathy, how to articulate ideas, how to disagree, how to have conflict, and everything in between. And we focus on, I love working with people who have accents. I love working with people who weren't naturally born with confidence, because I think those are the people that need to speak more.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, like I feel like you did a TED Talk on this as well. Obviously I know, because it was for my event and I loved it. And everyone loved that talk. How did you feel about that? Because it was the same sort of thing, right? It was about that gravitas that you have and how you can show up and own your voice regardless of where you're from.
Yeah, thank you, by the way, for asking me to do that TED Talk.
My pleasure. Thank you for being amazing.
A fucking incredible day.
Aw, so
like the way that you curating is such a skill.
Yeah.
And the way you curated that day was flawless.
Do you know how much that means to me? Because considering that's what I want to do. That's what I do believe. I realise now that is a superpower. I used to just think it was easy in that sense, but it isn't. But for me, it was easier than most people.
Yeah.
But the fact that so many people have said that to me over time now, it's made me realise that that's what I should be doing, which is what I'm trying to do now with Knobs, and that's why I'm trying to curate this really vetted community of entrepreneurs, because I know that when you get the right people in the room with the right values and that same sort of like everything about them, the way they want to be, it creates this amazing experience that no one can actually do, and actually you can't replicate that online either. That it has to be done in person. So I'm glad you were there to witness that and you thought that.
It was we cried that day, we laughed that day. Every single woman had something different. It was incredible. And I was so chuffed that I went first. Because then I could just enjoy the day. And as soon as I finished my talk, because when you do a TEDx talk, you do get nervous.
Yeah.
You are memorising like
Very different to any other talk, I think. Yeah.
I was on, I think, at 11. After I was done, I ran to the bar and got a double vodka. And actually regretted it.
Did you?
Yeah, because I got really lightheaded and I was like, oh God, I can't drink all day. So then I just had a crash. Anyway, so my talk was it was called Why Gravitas is a Work of Fiction. And what I think is fascinating is that so many women are accused of not having gravitas in their careers. But it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird word because so rarely is it defined properly. It's just, you don't really have gravitas, you don't have executive presence. And so for so many years I grappled with, like, what do you mean that I don't have gravitas? And I kind of worked out that it might be to do with my working class background and my accent, and maybe the fact that I was never really taught to have that kind of poise. And then I investigated with AI and did some AI searches, and like in those tools you can say show me a photograph of a CEO with gravitas, and it will always show you a man in a suit who's about 7 foot tall. And then everything I had an epiphany that maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it's society, and then maybe it's like a tiny bit me, but mostly society. Yeah.
But it's true though. I feel like it's hard because over the years, I just think about all the feedback I've had, and I call it feedback because depending on what it is, it's criticism. Where we put downs or it's. I've said I've not had gravitas. I don't conduct, I don't command the room. I don't have the confidence. But then at the same time, if I do come across a bit more confident, then I get called arrogant.
Yeah.
I get called obnoxious.
Yeah.
I get called aggressive. I get called bossy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, which one do you want? And also, I'm just being me.
Yeah.
And there will be times when I'll be more shy than other times I'll be more confident. It depends where I am, who I'm around, how I feel that day.
Yeah.
And it's just me. And it's like, I don't ever feel like we can win a lot of the time, because if you come into a room boosting with confidence, they go, wow, she's arrogant.
Yeah.
And then if you come into a room more shy, they go, don't trust her, look at her, she doesn't know what she's doing. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I mean, you're safe if you blend in and you don't really speak.
No one wins that way.
No. Dream scenario, you don't say anything at all and you're just really lovely to everyone. What's wild, everyone has been trained from an early age to judge women and to scan women and try and find the thing that isn't perfect. So we all do it. I've had to unlearn my judgment of other women, because when I was probably in my 20s, it was likely that there were a load of women that I just hated because they were better at a bunch of stuff than I was. They were more confident than I was. They were more successful than I was. They had more charisma than I did. Whatever it was, I probably hated them because I didn't realise that I'd been socialised to find fault.
God, that's quite scary actually when you think about it. If we have to really self-analyse it, but I think it goes back to even like as kids.
Yeah.
It's the like dynamics of a playground even.
Yeah.
It's like, the pretty cool kids had more friends. That's just how it was. And even from when we were children, we didn't really understand that. But if you look back at it, if you go back to your primary school, high school, wherever you are, the most popular kids were the prettiest. They weren't the most intelligent, they were the prettiest, the ones who got the most boys, and they weren't necessarily loud. They were actually quiet most of the time. They were quiet, petite usually. And I just feel like that's what we're kind of led to believe that is the perfect woman in that sense. Is it still that, are we still in a society where we need to be subservient and that is still the ideal woman? Are we still doing that sort of thing? I feel like that's what I watch on Bridgerton, but shouldn't be this day and age. But
I guess trad wives are having there is a whole conservative movement masquerading as feminism because it claims to be empowering women, like trad wives is empowering women to not work.
Is it though, or is it empowering them to live off their husbands?
That's the thing, is that it's fake. It's like it's an incorrect movement. It's pretending to empower women to keep them in their place.
Yeah.
What amazing trickery.
I find so many, so I get really riled up with social media, so I shouldn't really be on it because it just triggers
You
me
do.
all the time.
You do.
And then I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm just there, I have to shut my phone.
Yeah.
Because every little thing, I'm just like, is everyone just stupid? Or is everyone, I feel like I'm living in a different world. But it's the stuff, for example, the amount of posts that I see where women are saying, men must pay for all our dinners. Like, if a man pays, doesn't pay for all your dates, then you don't have a good enough man. Or a man must take you on holiday. Man must buy this handbag. Man must do this. But at the same time, they're like, women's rights and equality and we deserve to be respected. And I'm like, I don't understand why you expect a man to pay for absolutely everything for you. And then there was this post the other day went viral, and it was like, and it was like this man was saying that a flex a man can have is that he doesn't let a woman pay for everything. And I was like, a best flex a woman could have is that she doesn't let a man pay for everything. That's what I was like. And they were like, oh, obviously you've got a loser. Obviously you don't have fun. And then all these people attacked me for saying that. And I was like, what? I was like, honestly, I'm sitting there going, okay, you're in the 2026 and there's all these big female empowerment moves and what all we can do. And yet I've just said, I think it's a flex if we don't need a man to pay for ourselves and we can, and I got ripped to shreds for that. And I'm like, what world am I living in? But yet at the same post, there'd be a woman going, we can do this or something. And I'm like, yeah, and that goes viral. I'm like, make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just people want one thing and then say another, and I just don't get it.
At any one point, only 52% of women consider themselves to be feminists anyway. It's just we didn't have access. Before social media took over our lives, we just assumed the views of our immediate social group are the views of everyone. loads of women have always hated feminism. They've always hated the fact that they could be empowered. Loads of women don't want jobs. And this is the thing. Now we have access to all of these views. It's like, fuck, I didn't realise it was this bad. And this is why I do think it will be almost impossible for women to have true equality, because a lot of women don't want it.
I also think feminism has a bit of a negative term. Like, I think when you hear the word feminism, people think like really obnoxious women who are aggressive. And a lot of people I know have often said feminism equals being a lesbian. Like, that is what loads of people genuinely think. So they stay away from the word feminism because they don't want to fight for that, because they don't want to come across in that sort of way.
Because the patriarchy did an amazing hate campaign against feminism for years. The whole idea, angry feminist, bra burner, all of those things were just repeated over and over again so that they were stuck in our heads.
I think that's exactly why I think we got riled up by this International Women's Day campaign. And I definitely want to talk about that, because I cannot believe that this is like still, and I was getting really annoyed with other people, women who were promoting this bloody website, because I'm like, it's not real. Like, oh my God, a man made that for his own personal gain. And I'm like, okay, so do you want to just tell the background on it so that people can know and get to it as irate as I am?
I'll spill the tea.
Yeah.
But also it's really interesting because, again, you assume that everyone's as digitally literate as you are. People are not.
No, exactly. They prefer to live. What I realised, obviously, doing what I do, and I'm always calling out the bullshit.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to hear that it's bullshit. They'd rather live in a happy fantasy world that actually it's just easier to digest and actually find out that people are corrupt.
People really don't think that much. And maybe it's not that they're stupid, it's just that they don't think. And I suppose there's a difference. But with International Women's Day, so it's been around since 1907 or something. Originally a workers' rights movement, utterly essential. Lots of women all over the world still aren't allowed to go to school. And, you know, there's so many countries all over the world where women are genuinely treated like second-class citizens and their lives are in danger every single day of the year. But it's International Women's Day rose in prominence from the 2010s, really. So, and there is, so every single year, you know, we started to celebrate it. As soon as feminism hit the corporate world, it started to become a big thing. And there's a website, and I believe they bought, this management consultancy bought internationalwomensday.com in about 2003 or something, or maybe 2013. And they have no affiliation with the movement whatsoever. They have nothing to do with the UN. They're not a feminist organisation. They were a management consultancy called Aurora Ventures, and really cleverly bought the URL. And now every single year they claim that there's an official International Women's Day theme, but every single year it's the most humiliating, infantilizing, grotesque theme that just sets feminism back like 100 years. We've had Accelerate Action, which was or like Flex for Fairness or something. We've had Balance for Better. We've had, and every single year, whatever the theme is, there's always a selfie pose that's supposed to accompany it. So whether it's a heart or this.
Give to Gain now is this one, which is just ridiculous.
Oh, there was one, I can't remember the name of it, but there was one where they were, a few years ago, they were encouraging women to hug themselves. It was only a few years ago. And any digitally literate person or feminist would look at that and think, that's bullshit. It's fake. It's fake. So on the website, they sell merch. They partner with massive organisations as well, by the way. They make, if you look at Companies House, this organisation, they make a shit ton.
They've literally created this theme, made us a brand deals with like big corporates who are also not looking at things, and actually decided to pay them loads of money to be like, oh, we're promoting International Women's Day. No, you're just putting money into the pocket of some dude who's exploiting International Women's Day. It's crazy how it's even allowed to still exist.
Yeah, and I thought, same as you, I thought people had wised up Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
I thought people were clued up about it
Yeah.
now. This year, they really weren't.
No.
So I was seeing everyone throwing their little parties, having their little panels as they do, with a long line of middle-class white women talking about how hard their lives are. and they were all saying, the theme this year, give to gain. The theme this year, give to gain. And what was it? The pose this year was this.
It was like this. And it was like...
With like a golden orb.
And it was like,
Photoshopped.
you must give stuff to other people in order to gain.
Yeah.
And do you know what's so weird about this? I've literally just before this podcast, I was just ranting to a couple of people about how there's a situation where, well, just constantly, I feel like people expect so much more from me.
Yeah.
They expect me to give. And so many people have actually said that to me, you need to give to gain. And I'm like, have they like somehow subliminally like put this into other people's heads? So all these men are now coming up to me and expecting me to just give in order to hopefully get some reciprocation back later. But really they're just exploiting me. And it's like, there are now women who are promoting this theme because they don't understand. And they're trying to, you know how like, I will say this, you know, like when there's all these people push toxic positivity online and like, or you've got these motivational quotes and you can just make it to whatever you want it to be. So now they're obviously thinking, how does give to gain work? And they're like, yeah, I do think you need to give, so therefore you get back. And it's like, and women are actually actively promoting this to try and feel like they're part of International Women's Day, but they don't realise it's just bullshit.
And I saw a bunch of women post in social media saying, here's how I intend to give to gain. And it was just wild. So, yeah, the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was buying internationalwomensday.com. I just had enough this year. Even The Guardian. So in November of last year, The Guardian pretty much did an expose saying all the stuff that I just said. It was owned by Aurora Ventures. They tried to contact them. It was impossible to contact them, which it is.
Yeah.
The UN has distanced themselves from them. And even that didn't get a huge amount of traction. And it's so infuriating because International Women's Day is still so utterly necessary, potentially more now than it has been in many years, because we are having, the manosphere exists, and there's this weird rebellion against women that's driven by so many international politicians, you know, these men with power. We really need it. And it's being watered down, corporate washed. And so, yeah, I wrote an open letter with another lady called Belinda, and it's 1,000 signatures now of people, and the open letter says, fucking step away, stop it, please stop it. I don't think they'll listen. I mean, that's been covered by The Guardian.
Yeah, I saw that.
We've tried to contact them. We've added them on LinkedIn because they're on LinkedIn. I think it's a husband and wife that run it.
Oh, God.
We've tried to contact them through the website. We're going to post the open letter to the address that's registered on Companies House. Wow. But the hope is that if enough people see this open letter, then eventually they'll realise that it's fake. What we're going to have to do next year, and I really resent wasting my precious time doing this, we're going to have to fucking call out everyone on the internet who's foolish enough to use that website's theme. Yeah. Who knows what the theme's going to be?
I think you'd have
Submit to save.
Oh my God. You'd have to like get you create these custom AI agents to scrape every time that theme's been used, and then just get them to be like, this is not real, this is, and put a whole spiel every single time, and then just bombard every post with it. So therefore you can actually, and actually it would cause so much of a stir, and I think that would actually make a massive thing of it.
You're a genius. And this is the thing, is that in the UK we see that it's fake. And maybe some other countries, they've twigged. But this is International Women's Day, and it's the .com. Yeah. So there's women, or there's companies all over the world who've been fooled by this. This is why they're making like $1 million a year. I know.
It's actually fraud.
Yeah.
But it's actually fraud. I wonder if there's a UN can actually do anything about it. I wonder if we can... But I think, actually, in a way, if we were to create such a big movement of it, isn't that telling almost in itself of what women can do?
Yeah.
If we want to really take these people down globally and really make a big thing of it, that is the best International Women's Day campaign you could ever do. Think about it.
This is why we wanted to do the open letter, because we wanted to prove that stuff is possible if we actually just work together.
Exactly.
Well, we could, just for 1 year, let's take some people down.
Yeah, I think so. I'm
Fight.
up for that.
Connected. What can our theme be?
We should come up with a really stupid theme that's in retaliation to him, like
accelerate aggression. That's what I want to do next year.
I don't know. I feel like give them a taste of their own medicine at least, like, you know.
Yeah, we should do in the style. Do a
campaign. We should do it. Get a bunch of people, do a campaign, basically with a cheesy theme, the same thing, but all it is about take down. Like take down to take back.
Yes.
Take back our power. Take down to take back. That's what we should call it.
We've just had a brainstorm.
I know. That's what I said. Honestly, I do feel like that when you get good people together in the same room, great things happen.
Revolutions occur.
Exactly. Yeah. But I want to ask you about International Women's Day, because you said it's so needed. Yeah. And I think that women are divided about what International Women's Day is. Because you already said it's turned into corporate bullshit. And I love what International Women's Day was supposed to be about. Like you said, 1907. It was about the rights. It was about the labour movement. That was a very, very different thing. Today, it's about corporates ticking some boxes, putting some women on a panel and be like, look how diverse we are. We love women. And it's just, but it's the same bullshit. They don't even get paid for their talks as well, which is ridiculous. I am tired of being asked to talk on International Women's Day with no speaker budget. And it's just insulting, because it's like, they wouldn't do that to a man of similar caliber of experience and speaking experience. So why are you doing it to women when you're supposed to be about empowering women? I am tired of seeing the number of men running International Women's Day events just to monetize the events. Like, I know a guy who does it every year. He does it on Black History Month too. And he honestly, he invites.
I feel like that's worse.
It is. I'm both, and I hate them both. I'm like, I can't deal with it. It's so insulting. But it's like, oh, we don't have a speaker budget. We're donating some of the money to charity. And I'm like, really? I was like, this is International Women's Month, Black History Month, and you're expecting black women to talk about their expertise, and you're not paying them anything, but you're charging money for tickets. Like, please. Like, and it's just outrageous. And I was like, I really want to take them down to take back.
Let's take everyone down.
It's just not right. And I think that I don't know how everyone's allowed to get away with it. But so for me, what do you think about International Women's Day as it is, and what needs to be done to bring it back closer to what its original intention was?
I want feminism to start getting really messy. That's the thing. At the moment, it's all become too shiny and palatable, and that's because capitalism got involved, of course, the corporate world got involved. And one of the things about International Women's Day, which lots of women are using it to build their brands, their personal brands. And so you have so many women who are very carefully towing the corporate line, and they're not being that offensive, and they're saying all the things that they're supposed to say, and they're being empowering to an extent, and they don't swear in their panels and all of those things. And if we keep carrying on like that, nothing will happen, and the gender pay gap will be 100 years away every single year forever. We need to revisit what activism actually means and who's up for it and who isn't. Because if you're a woman and you just want to build your personal brand, cool. Fucking, could you stay away though, please? Because some of us actually really care. And we don't just care about women in this country. We care about the education that people need about women in every country, because we don't have equality yet. And I reckon from next year, I can feel the rage are coming, and I can feel a collective fury amongst many women that this isn't good enough. And we've tried asking really nicely, and we've done your fucking panels, but nothing's changing. And I think we need to return to activism. We need to decide who's up for it, and then we need a fucking revolution. Like, I can genuinely feel a really messy revolution coming.
I think it's scary though, because you said that you could feel a revolution. But think about the women who do speak up. There aren't many. Like, you know, 2 of them are in this room. Like, we do. But look how much shit we get for it. Like, every time we write a post, which is, it's just our raw emotion most of the time. I feel like a lot of our content has similar sort of like feelings in that sense. We get up there, we're like, fuck, this has pissed me off, let's write about it. And that's generally what we do. And I think that's why we get traction from those posts, because it's very real and it's very raw. But then in the comments, we'll get a shit ton of criticism.
Yeah.
I'll get a load of hateful DMs, and do you know what? Like half the time I'm just like, it's their issue. It is, but it still hurts. Like to get so much hatred like all the time, and like every time I get a racist comment, I still get upset. Even though I know it's nothing to do with me, it's their issue, I still genuinely get really upset. There was one the other day, they wrote on like a podcast I was a guest on, so it wasn't even on my profile, and they were basically just like in massive capital letters like "get out our fucking country" like on the comment, and I'm just like, it's like really vicious, and it's like I'm like reading it like, oh my god, and loads of the times it's just like that, and if I was the subservient, quiet, sitting, like I said, go to an event and not say anything, I wouldn't have that. But then I always feel like, what change is ever going to be made if you just shut up? Like, what difference has ever been done for people to just sit there and be quiet? I actually think in some ways it sets us back. Like, the more we don't say something, the more we don't push back, we are then that same woman that they think they can manipulate, and that's what causes the problem. So I feel I need to do that, and yes, I'm going to get shit, but it's worth it for the bigger picture. But it doesn't make it easy, and I think that's why so many women don't want to do it, because they just self-preservation at the end of the day, and they're just like, it's not worth it. And like so many people I know, they've written a post and I was like, good for you, then they delete it because they get a few comments and they can't handle it. So what do women do if they want to be part of it but they're too scared?
Something like 68% of women won't speak online anymore.
That's
68% of women, and for 72% of those women is because they're scared of being harassed, because harassment works, and that's why they do it. And what I'm trying to do at the moment, I ran a free webinar a little while ago, and I'll keep doing them, called Speaking Up for Good, which it's for all genders, but it's to help and encourage people to speak up little by little, almost taking a marginal gains approach, like maybe do this first and then get a bit braver and then do this, because it's not going to change unless more of us speak. It definitely won't. And there's a concept in psychology called the spiral of silence that I think was established in the 70s, which refers to how silence is literally the worst thing that can happen to any social movement. Because if you see other people not talking about something, you assume it's not a big deal.
Yes.
And so that means that minority views just don't get any traction, because people just assume that's not important. I might care about it, but I'm guessing no one else does because no one else is speaking, even though everyone's sitting there caring about it. So the one thing that we have to fight against is silence. And so what I'm trying to do, so I run a course for women called Powerhouse, which is about getting senior women to speak, women with authority to speak, and then running these free webinars to try and encourage people. The really interesting thing, and I can say this until I'm blue in the face, but people don't believe me. I think I'm at a point now where I'm genuinely desensitized to the hate, because I've been getting it for so many years.
I used to think I was, but I think I know that every single time it happens, it plays on my mind. I seem like I'm not. People always say to me, how do you do it? And in person, I know that deep down inside it still affects me.
I think racist comments again are different. I think that's a different kind of personal attack. I think would hurt. But it's supposed to. They want it to. That's the thing. Of course they want it to.
That's what. Then I get annoyed with myself for letting it hurt, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what they want. I'm beating myself up for how I'm reacting about it, and that sucks. And then it does make you hesitate every single time you do want to write something and you want to speak out about it, because, like you said, silence is bad. But then I do think, is it worth this? And do you know the amount of times I keep saying to people in comments, I'm like, just because you don't see it happen doesn't mean it's not true. And like, just because in your little bubble you don't see evidence of that doesn't mean it's not happening all over the world. And I think that's what people don't realise, that they've got their own little bubble of things and it just doesn't exist in them. But then when you see it, takes time to see it with your own eyes, but don't dismiss other people's experiences.
But even when people do see stuff with their own eyes, they're still choosing to opt out. We did a good shout. We did some research, because I was noticing, particularly with stuff like international wars, I was noticing in humanitarian issues, human rights issues, I was noticing people speak less, for sure. The war in Ukraine, was really interesting because everyone seemed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, no, this is really bad. Let's all talk about how bad it is. But then year on year, I've just noticed people saying less stuff. It might be fatigue, but also we did some research to try and establish why. And there's a certain level of apathy now towards social causes. And yes, it's humanitarian, human rights violations internationally, but also the climate, the government being a bunch of dicks. 40% of people in the UK intentionally opt out of social conversations.
Wow. And I guess it's also to stop, like, people get really emotional over those things. Yes. And, as soon as you talk about those topics, they're very divisive topics, right? And so they just avoid them because it ends so emotional and people end up in such, like, big arguments over it. Yeah. I remember once I was at a social event. I was actually at, like, an agency thing, and they were all, like, talking about politics. And I was like, I'm just going to opt out of this one, because I was like, it's politics, and they were drinking, and I was like, man, it's gonna... And they were like, why? And I said, because I just don't talk about politics with people anymore. And they go, but why? I said, because it always ends up in an argument. And then basically they badgered on at me so much that it ended up in an argument. I was like, it's kind of my point. So it ended up in an argument about it because I refused to talk about it, and yet, like, this is, and I think that's it. That's what, and even I'm, as someone who's very outspoken, still chooses to opt out because I just can't be bothered to deal with that drama that you're getting back. So I get it.
Well, also people don't know how to disagree. This is one of the things that we teach at Good Shout, is all the different ways that you can disagree with curiosity, you can be disagreed with without taking it personally, you can have better conversations about where your views don't align without fucking hating the other person.
Yeah, for me, it massively comes down to respect. That's what I've always said. You can totally disagree with people. There's people that come in my comments all the time and they disagree with a lot of stuff I say, but they're always respectful. They always give their viewpoint. They always give their, like, kind of experience. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting. That's not my experience, but it's also interesting that you've come up with that, and I respect them for it. So I'm not going to get too much into that ranty bit because I feel like I'm going to get annoyed. So I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you about Unlikable Woman, because I love that you've done this now. So I want to hear more about it. Like I said, I feel like I identify with being an unlikable woman. I remember when you started posting about it, I was like, that sounds like me. And in a way, like, it's funny because you'd think it sounds offensive, but I was like, no, I love that. That's so true. But tell me about it. Tell me how it became about, like, what it is and what your vision is with it.
I do lots of creative projects as therapy. My first book, The Little Girl Who Gave Zero Fucks.
Oh, yeah, I need to talk to you about that, because you just randomly wrote a kid's book and it's called Zero Fucks. And I was like,
it's actually for adults.
But it's like, as a style
it looks
of
like it looks like a kid's book. But the reason why I wrote that is because at that point in life, I was giving loads of fucks. As in, I was caring loads about too many things that were absolutely irrelevant. So I thought, well, let me write this book, put it out into the world, and then it will fix me. And it did. So I wrote it as that I give a lot less fucks now than I did. So Unlikable Woman was another form of therapy. And I tell you the origin story because it's so silly. And it's all about me and my silly internalizing of other people's feedback, talking about feedback again. I worked in advertising for 17 years, and the advertising industry is incredibly fast-paced. You need the thickest skin possible. It's brutal in so many ways. And in that 17 years, I was told that I wasn't bullish enough. I wasn't direct enough. I wasn't arrogant enough. I didn't have enough gravitas. So I thought I was a pretty nice person. I was always accused of being too nice. Yes. And so then I left advertising because it did start to kill my soul a little bit, because that's advertising, it's lies, it's manipulation. Started my own business, Good Shout. And as soon as I started my own business and I was in charge of, this business is paying my mortgage, it's my reputation, you'll know this, of course, it's my life's work, it's kind of my livelihood lives or dies depending on the success of this entity that I've created. I take it really seriously. I started to get people, freelancers, etc., that worked for me, criticizing me for my tone. And the coincidence was that it was whenever they let me down. And they'd let me down, I'd say, you know what, this isn't good enough in the way that I'm talking now. So maybe my voice was wrong. No, my voice isn't raised. I'm just talking how I'm talking. I would say, this isn't good enough. You've let me down. And all of a sudden, I was being criticized for my tone. I was being called a bitch. I was told that is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you speak to me like that? But the thing that the common denominator in all of these instances was they'd let me down and they'd fucked up, and me reacting wasn't okay.
Yeah.
So rationally, I know that that's the thing that they all had in common. Doesn't stop you internalizing it. There was one example, I won't name names, but she worked for me for 3 months, this woman. And when I say she did nothing in that 3 months. She would rock up later than she should. She wouldn't really, we'd have, stand-ups every morning. She'd say the same thing every day. She literally wasn't doing a thing. And so when I started to say to her, I need to start seeing some results, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, she would say, instead of saying, actually, you know what, hands up, I'm a bit lost, or I need a bit more guidance, and I was giving her plenty, she would say, I don't like your tone. You're actually, the way that you're saying that to me is not okay. Throwing out all the therapy language, etc. Rationally, I knew it was because she was doing fuck all, but that got to me because I consider myself to be a pretty nice person, and obviously, she didn't see out her probation, but that I internalized. And it started to wear me down, and I started to second guess everything I said. I started to really tiptoe around people. Is this okay? I'm really sorry. It's not quite good enough, but I'm sure you tried, etc. And I thought, Jesus Christ, this has decimated my sense of self, being accused of being unlikable, being accused of being a bitch. And it got to the point where I realised that I'd shapeshifted so much to become this lovely, submissive, is that okay kind of person. I was done. And that's why I created the Unlikable Woman Summit, because it was almost like, I have to fucking own this. And you know what? If you're going to call me a bitch, fine. I'll be one. I'll be a fucking bitch because I want to pay my mortgage. And so I created the Unlikable Woman Summit. Although, first of all, I just started writing posts in social media saying, I'm unlikable because I am honest. I'm unlikable because I'm direct. I'm unlikable because I give feedback. And I realised that loads of women have also been in a similar position.
Yeah, there's a lot of us, and that story you just told me about your employee, I've been in that situation, and it's the same. I think it's a defensive thing, and like you said, the therapy language, it's got worse since COVID, and it's like any time you say anything now, they've got an answer for it. So it's like, you're toxic, you're damaging my mental health, you are like, and all the buzzwords have come out now, and you just can't do anything. And that's why I think that is people say unemployment's so high. Well, what do you expect if that's what you're doing? And bosses are too scared to even like the fact that I've been at some point been scared to even come into my own office because of my team. Like, that's pathetic. Like, and like you said, it's really bad. But like, that's why I think I resonated when I saw your Unlikable Woman Summit. And I know you've had some big. You had Fern Cotton come.
We did.
That's incredible. Like, you've had some, and I just keep seeing your vagina dress in like different bits of papers, and people outraged about all these things, and like randomly, like I'll see some. I think I was out the other day, I saw someone talking about it. I was like, I know her, she's amazing. And it was like,
oh
so
my
funny.
God.
So I just keep seeing the outrage that you've been, and like you've been in the papers quite a lot recently. So I feel like you've been making a stir, and in a great way, in my opinion, because you're actually like making noise about the things that matters. What's been going on? Like, honestly.
And I know it was about a giant vagina. So we had, and you're right, I'm so flattered and honoured that all of these women, high profile women, have trusted us with their story, because the point is that we have a lineup of women who have been accused in the same way that witches were. They've been accused of being unlikable, being too much, being this, that and the other, and it nearly ruined their lives. We had, in the first year, we had a woman called, do you know Dr. Charlotte Proudman?
Do I know her? I feel like I know the name.
She nearly lost the right to practice law. So she's a lawyer, family courts lawyer, does so much free work for rape victims and domestic violence victims.
Oh, I think I do know her now.
She got accused of, she got taken to court because she described a judge as sexist.
Yeah.
Because the judge said to a victim of domestic violence, if you're so clever, why didn't you leave? Because she was a senior woman, successful woman. If you're so clever, why didn't you leave? Dr. Charlotte Proudman tweeted saying, lovely to see sexism in the year 2023 or whenever it was. She got taken to court. She nearly got her right to practice law taken away from her. She got called a feminazi. She got bullied by her industry peers, and she shared her story with us. She is on the right side of history, yet she's been called an unlikable woman. And it's just so infuriating and disgusting. These women are changing the world. We have Misha B.
Oh, yeah.
You know Misha B?
Yeah.
She was accused of being a bully on live TV at the age of 19 on X Factor because they thought she was going to win.
Of course.
When you hear this woman's voice, you know when it's rare that you are around someone that has that much star quality. Being around her is like, oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah, she's just something else.
Wow.
I can see why she was accused of being a bully on TV because she would have fucking won.
Yeah.
And it was Little Mix year and they wanted Little Mix to win.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so we have Fern Cotton, because Fern Cotton has been a people pleaser her entire life. So for the second year, I thought it would be a lot of fun as you walk into the summit for women to walk through a giant vagina. So we created this gazebo thing, and we had pink fluffy carpets, and you had to walk through, and we were playing the scene from When Harry Met Sally, the fake orgasm scene, and we had pink curtains, so you were just walking through the thing just to like set the tone.
But that immediately relaxes people.
Yes.
But it's so ridiculous.
Yes.
You've got like a screaming orgasm, you're walking through a vagina, like you just like, you can't not laugh and just don't take it seriously. And that's the perfect way to kind of feel at ease when you walk into a room full of strangers and you're about to be vulnerable. I like it. It's funny as hell.
And we had a sign saying "This way to hell," because we have a whole like "See you in hell" type thing.
Yeah.
And the theme for this most recent one was "Thou shalt not." So all the things that women aren't supposed to be, or just humans aren't supposed to be, greedy, lustful, rich, opinionated, all the things we're not supposed to be, our lineup were. The problem was, and this is the reason why it was in the press, is because the venue itself is just a community centre. It's also owned by a church, but it's not publicised as such. I was actually raised, I have respect for every religion, of course. I was raised a Catholic. I wouldn't say that I'm religious now, but I do, I was raised to have respect. It was publicised as just a community hall, a performance theatre.
Right.
They never mentioned anything related to that. There were no T's and C's.
Yeah.
We actually held a summit in a church last year, and we had to go through loads of red tape.
Right.
We had to get all our songs approved.
Yeah.
We had to say we won't talk about X, Y, and Z, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when it came to getting our deposit back, which was £1,000, the owner of the venue said, "No, we're keeping your deposit because you had a giant vagina at the entrance, and if we'd have known that your event was going to fly in the face of everything that the Christian church stands for, then we wouldn't have accepted you." You also had a sign that said "See you in hell."
That one I think is actually probably more offensive than the vagina.
I know, but we were like, why didn't you mention it on the day, guys? We would have. And so I, again, talked about it in social media, said this is kind of gross because it's just women expressing themselves creatively. Is there a problem, really? All people Jesus came out of a vagina.
I wonder if men had a similar like conference and it was like bro code and it was like promoting, I don't know, like something worse. I feel like a lot of the times that these events are held, they're promoting something a lot worse against religion, but they're just not in your face.
Yeah.
Like what's talked about in that room could be a lot worse, and they're allowing it. It's just because you had a big giant vagina on the front of it. They didn't like that.
Yeah.
But say if like people were talking about, I don't know, you could have a bloody meeting in that community hall about, sex trafficking or whatever, and people won't even know.
Yeah.
Like, but if you did it discreetly, it for me, it's double standard.
Yeah. Well, so the an editor of a magazine got in touch, and I gave him my side of the story. He contacted the venue to get their side of the story, and magically we got our deposit back. And they still printed the story.
Oh, well, I love how, like, the magic of PR. So it does work.
Yeah, it does.
And the threat of having social media following. I do like that.
And you have to. The thing is, it would have been. So the owner of the venue sent us this really long email saying essentially it was disgusting, it was disturbing, all of these things about us being unholy, and it would be really easy for me in particular to have felt shame for that. He was calling me disgusting. He was saying our community was something untoward and bad. It would have been so easy to be like, oh God, yeah, I guess we are there.
Yeah.
And so what I'm learning now is to just not believe these people. When you know that you're a good person, you just have to not believe the shit talkers, the haters, because they're doing this for a reason.
Yeah. I feel like it's much it's easier said than done though with that sort of stuff. It's so easy to, and you're right, like you got all that criticism about the event. I feel like you could totally have been like, oh, maybe I was too much. Because that's the other thing, being called too much is a common thing, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you could easily have been like, oh, maybe we should tone it down. Maybe that was bad. It was a bit outrageous. But actually, what's wrong with like being creative, like you said, and expressing yourself in the way you want to?
Yeah.
You weren't offending, and that's the whole thing. It wasn't even offensive. It wasn't hate speech. It wasn't any of that. And so, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to talk about the Cliques girls.
Okay.
The Cliques girls. I love it now. We are definitely doing a little song for
the Cliques girls. Yeah. Do you remember the dance?
I do remember them saying, so I think it was just that they were doing a bit sort of
Actually, yeah.
I don't think it was much of a dance.
Yeah.
Again, that was X Factor time. It was one of Simon's little things. And I do remember them saying, don't be shy, touch my bum. I do remember that.
Was it This Is Nice or something?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it weird? Would that be number one now?
God, no.
It was
surely
number
not.
one.
I think that was just, again, but that was a whole thing about, isn't it why, like, Lad Baby, like, started doing his things because Simon Cowell just always went to number one. Everything he touched just went to number one. Yeah. But that is, how bad was our music if that went to number one?
Mr. Blobby went to
Oh, yeah, but that was kind of funny. But, yeah. And then Bob the Builder, I'm pretty sure that was went to all that stuff. Oh, God. Yeah. God.
Do you remember Jive Bunny?
No, what was Jive Bunny?
Oh, okay. That was it. Listen to it. It was like a montage of 50s songs.
Maybe I do. How does that go?
Well, no, it's an entire montage. So I've been doing it for a long time.
You want to perform it for me? I'll have to look that up. Probably do, because I feel like it was Crazy Frog as well.
Oh my God! They're always also one of the first songs I ever bought for myself was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I remember that
soundtrack
yeah,
song.
I remember.
Also, there was Do the Bartman, the Simpsons. Oh my God! Did they still? I guess these days, isn't it the Demon Hunters song is?
Oh yeah, I see. I don't know that because I teach in a school still, so I feel like I see the kids with their little jumper.
You teach in a school?
I teach chess for kids.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so I teach every week at schools, and so I'm still around kids all the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So just add another thing to the million things that I do. But yeah, I love it. That's probably one of my favourite parts of the week now, in a way, just because it gets away. I think I used to find it really. It is tough. Don't get me wrong. I teach a classroom full of they're between 5 and 11.
Yeah.
And I teach 90 kids a week.
Wow.
It's a lot of kids. So it's like it's hard work, but it's still somewhat easier than dealing with adults. Like, there's a lot less bullshit, honestly. Like, and it's something so pure about those kids, and it's just like the stuff they come out with. It's actually just so much nicer knowing that there's, not this malintent, and it's just, and so yeah, I love teaching kids. It's much nicer.
So Good Shout, we have Good Shout for Girls, which is public speaking training for girls aged 13 to 16.
Yeah.
What's amazing is that they're better to teach. They are actually better to teach than adults. They take feedback better. They're less disruptive. You give them a piece of feedback once, they'll act on it immediately. They're more up for learning than adults
because they're still in that phase where that's what they know. Like, so to them, there's students and there's teachers, and they have that kind of hierarchy set in stone. So they know that actually if they turn up, they're in this lesson, they have to listen, well, they're supposed to listen. That's a teacher, you listen to what they do, you do what they say. Adults have this rebelliousness to them about it. They're like, I don't have to listen to this person, why do I care about this person, and sort of thing. And they're closed-minded, and they have this arrogance about them, entitlements about it. It's very different. It's a very strange thing. So I do agree with you on that. I love teaching kids, so but they're great. But I want to go back to these cliquey girls, because this is what I think sparked us being here again. And we both had the similar sort of experiences, because I will quickly just tell you what I've experienced. But like I said, I've been building Knobs, which is my own community for founders, entrepreneurs, and just trying to get really good quality entrepreneurs in the room. So that means, obviously, it stands for no bullshit. So it's people who really want to do business with each other and genuinely want to network. And like I said, not this collab thing, as opposed to just like taking from each other. Very, very different thing. I don't want people to walk into the room and sell to other people. It's about real connections. I've been obviously going out networking a lot, and trying to find people who I think have got that same sort of value, so I can tell them about what I do. The amount of events I've been to over the last couple of years, I've just been to so many. But there are so many groups that I've gone to events with, and they've told me that either I'm not welcome, or like I've gone there and they were like, oh, how did you get a ticket? And I'm like, I just bought it. They were like, oh. And I've literally gone to an event before for dinner, and I was there. I was clearly the oldest person for about 10 years. Everyone looked the same, and I was clearly the odd one out. And that's why they were like, oh, how did you get in?
Wow.
And it was like, there was a criteria, which I got told afterwards, that you had to be a certain age, a certain look, a certain weight, a certain class category in terms of money, where you're from, otherwise you can't get in. And I just bought a ticket thinking it sounded like a good event, and I wasn't supposed to be there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I started speaking to someone, because one of the girls there wasn't like that, and she was very different, so we started talking, and then she was like, oh, I've been to a few of like their events, and it's always like that, and I didn't realise. And then she was saying that she'd been to other events, and there's a whole clique of now female founder events. So there's guys, like I said, there's guys are female founder events, empowering events, but actually it's all about, if you don't look a certain way, if you don't like have a certain petite, pretty kind of rich girl look, and you are only talking about that sort of thing, it's all about how you are, how you look basically, then you're not welcome at any of these events. And this is a thing. And there are clubs for it, there are events for it, and it's just like the unwritten rule of who, and they all kind of know each other, they all kind of boost each other up, and it's really messed up.
Well, it feels like the equivalent of an old boys club.
Yeah, it is.
It's like replicating.
It is. It's pretty much the same
but they're
thing,
just not olden boys, but it's still...
but they're 20-something young girls. It's changed, and it's all these female founder communities. And so many people basically have talked to me about like, oh, will Knobs be female founders only? And I'm like, no, because I don't want it to feel like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's fucking shocking. Although, is it shocking? I guess it's shocking because it feels so brazen.
Exactly. So that's what I feel like it is. I do this all the time now with everything. I'm like, and people go, I'm so shocked. And I go, are you though? Like, would you really be? And I shouldn't be shocked. But it is because it's so, like, they've been really open about it to their members. But I feel like they didn't expect other members to, like, say that. And I feel like the members who are in it, they feel almost like proud to be in it, like they have been accepted by all these tick boxes, and so therefore they're not going to tell other people about it, and therefore it's like a privilege to be in there. But you were definitely talking about something similar, which is why I was like, oh my God, we need to talk about this, because it's just like, what was your experience?
I've always rejected industry cliques, very actively, loudly rejected them, especially when it's women-only groups where you have to be chosen to become a member, or you have to apply and beg to become a member. For me, that flies in the face of any kind of equality conversations. It shouldn't be an ambition of a forward-thinking woman to become a member of a secret society. That just doesn't. That's just, it's cognitive dissonance. It just doesn't make any sense. And in advertising, there are some. And it is exactly the same as old boys clubs. You have to be recommended by a member, you have to beg and plead to join, you have to prove yourself, and then you become a member of these elite societies and everyone does look the same. There might be an occasional black or brown face, but everyone does look the same. They tend to talk the same and have the same interests, and those groups appear to have power because they actively try to have power. And I think that's disgusting. I actually, without being too extreme, I think it's fucking gross. And especially in advertising, which is an industry, like I said before, incredibly exclusionary anyway, really posh, not, you know, it's not really posh, really white. You'd have thought that people would have the integrity to try and combat that rather than reinforcing it. And what happened, and so because I'm quite, you know, I am quite loud about, you know, it's my belief, I'm allowed to have my fucking opinion, I'm quite loud about that. I heard that one of these cliques was actively discouraging young women from doing Good Shout courses.
That's just speaks jealousy for me. That's what it is. It's just like
wow.
So what were they doing? Just saying actually you shouldn't.
Yeah, I saw emails. So I would never give too many details so that the young woman doesn't, one in particular, doesn't get into trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen emails telling them just don't do Good Shout courses. We don't recommend doing Good Shout courses, which to me is really interesting because it feels spiteful.
It is, yeah.
Like it's enough to think I don't disagree with this woman and maybe I don't disagree with her politics or her worldview. It's another thing to affect someone's livelihood.
Yeah.
That feels active, you know, that feels like another level.
I do see that, and I think like there was a female founder group that someone recommended to me to get in touch with the owner when I was running the TEDx Women event, actually. And they were like, oh, well, maybe they can advertise your event in the group. And bear in mind, TEDx is a non-profit, right? So everyone's voluntary, it's a whole, you don't make money from it, like it's all supposed to go back into the TEDx community. And so I did reach out to this person, I'd never spoken to them at the time before, and they were like, if you want the privilege of hosting in my group, then you can pay me for that privilege. You can join as a member first, pay your membership, and then pay for the privilege. And I was like, well, that sounds really supportive to women. Like, you know, and they're like, oh, you can put me on your stage. And I was like, okay. So I was like, wow. So they've tried extortion and blackmail, basically. I was like, this sounds like a great person I want to be part of. But this person's really like well respected. And all I've ever heard is bad stuff about her. All I've ever seen is what I think is really bad behaviour, but other people see it as empowering, and it's weird. It's almost like cultish that these people are kind of leading this way with these things, but actually it's kind of scary.
In any culture or society, there's going to be power dynamics, and there's going to be people that crave power and want it and enjoy it. If that's the case, just be transparent about it, and don't create this facade that you care about lifting women up. Exactly. And you care about all women and women having a seat at the table. That's the thing that irks me, is if you just want power for you and your mates, fucking say it. Say it. Yeah. We want to have an exclusive club, and we're going to give each other business, and we're going to make sure that our own tiny network gets money, and that's how we're going to function. Just say it, because then at least you're being transparent. When you use equality and the idea of women's empowerment to build your brand and your community's brand, and then you don't live by it in any way, that's just false advertising.
It is. It's manipulation. It's like it's taking advantage of a situation. I really do think that, and I feel like there's so much of it out there. Like I just believe, like I said to you earlier, I was like, if you just come out and say that's what you want, then that's much better way of handling it, for sure. I could take it a lot more, but I think this is the reason why people are struggling at the moment to know who to go to and what to say. And I think, like, for you, you've been doing this for so long, you help so many women like find their voices. What advice what would you give to women out there? Because I feel like I said, there's so many bad women out there who aren't, you know, doing things. There's so many women who do want to speak up. They do hate the bullshit. They want to call out the bullshit, but they don't. Like I said, it's so much easier to be silent. But you said don't be silent. What advice would you give to women to try and, you know, get that confidence to speak up?
More social media literacy is required. My advice is don't believe anyone. I know that's really negative advice, but don't believe anyone until they absolutely demonstrate that they are the thing they say they are.
I don't think it's negative advice. I think it's really practical advice. And I do believe that because there's so much bullshit. And like, same as I call out the bullshit all the time. All these what I call fexperts, like they're fake experts. And like literally, they're so bad. They're just, and it is. Just don't believe anyone. Just look up people, speak to references, actually do due diligence. It's just
There's so many people like. The amount of shit that I have on people is wild. And there's so many people, and you know, lots of women who I see them in social media and I'm like, you are lying so hard. So much of what you say is utterly dishonest. I'm fully aware of it. And I'm surely other people are fully aware of it. How can you be doing this? But there's, you know, especially young women who absolutely want role models, lap it up. Do not believe anything you hear in social media. Like actively disbelieve what you hear, what people say in social media, because most of it is bullshit. And so social media literacy and working out who is full of shit and who isn't is such a critical skill.
I think we should do a course. How to sniff out the bullshit.
Yes,
I think we should. Because that's what my other podcast is called, the one I do myself, is just called Sniffing Out the Bullshit. And it is literally that. I take a topic and I just show you how to sniff it out. But I think we should. Like, I actually think that we should do more stuff on genuinely how to sniff out the bullshit and call it out. Like you said, I don't like to name names. I never name names in what I do. And I do my bullshit of the month or whatever. And I call out the behaviour, because you want to talk about the actual behaviour, right? That's what you want to talk about. Sometimes you might need to name names when it gets really serious, but it's very rare. I just want to call out the actions. But we may need to do a course. We need to take down to take back. As I said, we need to we need to really do this, because I feel like there's so much stuff out there. People are getting scammed all the time, and they're just preying on the naive, preying on the inexperienced, and it's not nice.
And it's the whole, particularly in social media, those women who have visibility courses, or you know, they promote. I can make you visible in 3 weeks. And they claim stuff like, you know, I went from £500 months to 50k months, and all of that stuff. Like, there's no way that they have to ever prove that is true.
I know.
And it does feel, it's the same as life coaches are just as bad. They're making women feel really insecure about themselves, and they're selling a dream, and there's very little regulation with any of this stuff. Social media regulation is few and far between. All you have is hashtag ad, hashtag spawn. You can tell any lies you want in social media, and if you're confident enough and believable enough, you can sell a dream.
Yeah.
But it's highly unethical.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's the really difficult thing, is that there's so many people peddling bullshit out there. I've decided I'm now closing out each episode with the same question. And it's, what is the biggest piece of bullshit that you can't stand right now?
I don't think AI is the future. I think AI is a tool that can be really useful. I think when people are told that unless you buy my AI course, you will be irrelevant in the future and you will lose your job, I think that's a really dangerous narrative. It's just part of it. It's just another tech bubble. So lots of AI narratives are bullshit, intended to make people feel scared about not being cool or not having a job in 10 years' time. That, I think, is really dangerous.
I already said to you earlier, I can't stand how AI is really changing things. I'm really... In a way, I think it's done more harm than good to the world. I mean, like, obviously there's going to be amazing advancements in medical, like if it literally saves lives, great. But in terms of in our space, in entrepreneurship, in marketing, in creative, I think it's only done damage. Like, people are saying, oh, it's sped things up, but at what cost? Like, people are now less creative, they're lazier, they're not using it, they can't even think for themselves. At some of these cliquey dinners that I've been to, the people go around and there's sorts of things, and I'm like, oh, why don't we ask questions? And there's usually a question like about in the business. People are literally on ChatGPT asking them the answer before they come up with it. And I'm like, that is how lame it is. And I'm like, I can't deal with how pathetic people are. For me, I don't like the narrative. Again, it comes down to scare tactics, and it's that whole, I think it's unethical marketing when you're putting that level of fear into people anyway. So I think that's bullshit, and I think that, yes, in AI, but also in everything. So I am with you on that one.
And the thing is, we have a choice. Society doesn't realise it has a choice as to whether AI takes over our lives or not. we're just told by tech companies that have this overwhelming amount of power over us, this is the future.
Yeah.
But there's so many examples in history where communities were told this is the future and they revolted and they fought against it. We can fight against AI, because I don't give a fuck about adults, honestly. I really care about children and how they are raised in an AI powered world and what that does to their brains. Exactly. That is terrifying. Yeah. And if I had, you know what? I don't have kids. If I had kids, I'd be like, fuck this. I want my children to think for themselves. I want them to be creative. I want them to be original. I want them to play in fucking nature. Mm-hmm. I want them to exist on a lovely planet. Mm-hmm. I would be much more of an activist than I am now if I had kids.
Yeah, I think it's terrifying the thought of that kids are going to be, they don't know the answers to something. They're going to be, say if they're stuck somewhere, you'd want, if something bad to happen to your kid, you want them to have the like creativity and the mental resilience to be able to get through a situation, rather than thinking, what would ChatGPT do? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if they are stuck without their phone somewhere, what are they going to do without ChatGPT and TikTok? Like, you know, kids these days aren't going to survive. Whereas back in the day, people would be making fires with sticks, and they'd be able to like last a few days, and they'd be able to hunt and track and do all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I sound really old saying all this, but like,
wow, are you a cave woman?
Yeah. But that's how I feel like. I feel like we learnt better skills back then, but now, like, bloody hell, I don't know. Yeah. So, yes, to protecting the kids of our future, and yes, to being more human and not AI. So. Yes. Thank you so much, Amy. You've been such a wonderful guest today, and I can't wait for this episode to come out.
Yeah, thanks.